the raise your hand button within Zoom, or we will monitor the chat. And to kick us off, we're going to go with Chris Estrada. Go ahead, Chris.
Austin, first off, thanks for joining us. While your back-to-back wins are on track, so we won't be seeing the playoffs, you still had 7 top 10s in a row. So this year, is there even more of a sense that you and your team were peaking at the right time entering the playoffs than last year when you came in with the regular season title?
Looking at last year versus this year, I don't think you can really outweigh one season to the next on, if we felt like we were peaking at the right time last year better than this year, vice versa. I just think that us winning these 2 races, though, just kind of builds our team's confidence going forward, because before we won at the dirt track, before we won at the road course, we had only won on 1.5 miles together. So we're kind of getting outside of that bubble that we were in, and we're winning at these different types of racetracks. Now we feel like we can go to the racetrack and win anywhere we go. So I think that just kind of builds the confidence even more going into these playoffs, that we feel like we can get the job done no matter where we're at.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, our next question will come from Taryn Wack. Go ahead, Taryn.
Hi, Austin. How confident are you, especially after the 2 wins that gave a big boost, that you can close the points gap on Nemechek? And does that have to be done in the first round?
No, I mean, it really doesn't matter a whole lot if I close the gap on Nemechek in the playoffs, as long as if we can go out there and just say win at Gateway this weekend, or win in the first round, and then we go to the next round and we can win in the first race or 2, and it locks us into the playoffs, then obviously points don't matter anymore. So, honestly, I'm not looking at a whole lot of point situation. I think we're pretty good where we're sitting. And I think that, if we don't win, say in the first round, we feel confident enough that we can at least keep that second place spot. If we do close the gap on Nemechek, then great. If not, as long as we can just stay in the top 4 in each round and get us to Phoenix, that's all we're worried about right now.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, our next question will come from Steven Toronto. Go ahead, Steven.
Austin, this is your 3rd go-round of the Truck Series playoffs. 2019, you had really a what could have been scenario, winning the final race after not making it to the championship 4 last year. Regular season champion, didn't make it to the championship 4. Given those experiences, do you enter this year's playoffs with almost, 3rd time's the charm, 3rd time lucky type of mindset?
I mean, we feel like, honestly, we just need to keep doing what we're doing. We need to keep doing what we did last season. Last season it came down to that final round before the Phoenix race, and we went into Texas, had a shot at winning Texas, actually took the lead right there at the end, and they reverted back to the last time in line, and from when the caution came out, and we were second, so we ended up running second there at Texas. And going into Martinsville, we felt like we had a good gap on us. Then we have an engine issue, so very easily could have another engine issue this time around. You just don't know. I think if we wouldn't have had that engine let go last year, obviously we felt like we would have made it in, from points, and we felt like we were pretty good at Martinsville. So yeah, I mean, you can't really look back at the past on these past 2 seasons and really say we did anything wrong. It's just kind of been circumstances for us. So going into this season, our number 1 goal into the first round of each round is we want to be very aggressive, try to go win races. And if we can win a race, then that takes us out of any issue that could possibly come about, later in the rounds.
Thank you, Austin.
Thanks.
Okay, our next question will come from Marty. Go ahead, Marty.
Thanks, Amanda. Austin, thanks for the time as always. I think this is maybe a follow-up to the first 2 questions we had, but with those back-to-back wins, this team seems to have a lot of momentum entering the playoffs. After that win at the Glen, did that momentum happen to skyrocket now that you were able to gather more playoff points?
Yeah, I mean, I think I think before Knoxville, we kind of were all scratching our heads a little bit. I mean, we felt like we were good, but we didn't feel like we were the team that could go out there and really win races. And me and Scott, we sat down, we had about a 2-hour conversation before going to Knoxville about, look, let's just take a step back. Let's go back to and go back to what we know how to do. And that's, run up front and win races, and let's not start overthinking this thing. And I mean, I'll be honest with you, I started kind of second thing on what I was telling them we needed adjustment wise and things like that. And I can't speak for Scott or the rest of the team, but we just kind of all felt like we were trying too hard. So now that we've kind of had those 2 wins under our belt, we feel like we've relaxed a lot, and going to these playoffs, we feel like we're very laid back, we're relaxed. And, we feel like going to these playoffs, we have probably the most confidence out of any other race team out there.
So just following up on that with what you just said, do you think you've got more momentum now than John Hunter entering the playoffs? I mean, I know the stats don't lie on the tail of the tape, but does he seem like you got more momentum than him?
I mean, it's hard to tell. I mean, I'd like to believe so. Honestly, when you get into these playoffs, the wins that you had in the regular season don't really matter. Obviously, you get those bonus points, and that helps you to start the playoffs. But the wins that you had prior to the playoffs don't matter a whole lot. You need to go win races in the playoffs now, and these races that we're going to, or a lot of them, are a lot different than where we ran in the regular season. You look at Bristol, Martinsville, Talladega, those type of racetracks. We haven't really been running a whole lot at those type racetracks. So there's a lot of unknowns going to these playoffs, and I personally feel like we have the upper hand on everybody. I feel like we're that got their feet with the 4 team, and I think we're the team that they probably need to be worried about most.
All right. Thank you, Austin. Good luck these next few weeks.
All right, our next question is going to come from Bob Puckers. Go ahead, Bob.
Yeah, Austin, some would say, well, your wins came on a dirt track and road course, and neither of those are in the playoffs. So what about those? Why do those races give you confidence when you're not racing at those tracks in the playoffs?
Yeah, I mean, that's a good question. I think the best answer I can give you is, prior to winning at those 2 racetracks, we had only won at Mile and a Half as a team. And then now fast forward to us winning at the dirt and at a road course. I think it just goes to show that our team, that we can win anywhere we go. And I think it just builds the confidence that no matter if we go to Martinsville, if we go to, Gateway, any of these racetracks that we haven't won at, we feel as a team that we can go get the job done just because of us winning at these other racetracks that we didn't think we really were great at. We thought we needed to be better on dirt. We thought we needed to be a little bit better on the on the road course side, and then we go out there and win. So I think it just builds that momentum, and it builds this whole race team and the fire up under us that we feel like no matter what racetrack we can go to, that we can win anywhere, whether it's Bristol, Talladega, Vegas. It doesn't matter where we go. We just think we can win.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, our next question is going to come from Vince Welch. Go ahead, Vince.
Hey, Austin. What do you compare Gateway to? It's such a unique layout. Is there a track that you relate it to when you guys look at your data and you're studying?
Man, that track is such a unique racetrack. It's so hard to really lean on any other setup that you're going to go with. Obviously, you can take a little bit from short track and kind of apply it. We take a short track truck there when we go there. But 1 and 2 is totally different than 3 and 4. 3 and 4 is one of those corners that is very long and sweeping. Then 1 and 2 is very tight corner. You're downshifting most of the time into third gear to get out of that corner. And so there's probably gonna be a lot of shifting involved. So that racetrack is just totally different. But going back to last year, we found a setup that seemed to work for us, and it seemed to me we thought that we were kind of trending at the right time for a place like Gateway. and we thought that we had a shot at winning that race last year. So going into this season, there's some minor changes that we wanted to make setup wise, but we think that going to Gateway, no matter, even though that it doesn't really compare to other racetracks, the setup that we brought last year was so good that we think when we go there, we can tweak on it a little bit, that we could be the one to beat.
And final question, with the playoff guys starting at the front of the field, the modified pit stops this week, how does that impact the strategy and your perspective of how things shake out as the race goes on from your seat?
Yeah, I think that the modified pit stops is probably the biggest thing that strategy kind of goes out the window. Everyone's going to be pitting at the same time, I would imagine. I guess you could take, right side tires only, and somebody else take 4 tires and you maybe gain a spot. I don't know, but yeah, I mean, it's hard to say what it's going to be like. I mean, I know last year we did that deal in the modified.
Everybody's going to take 4 tires because you have all that time on pit road. Why wouldn't you? Right. And so,
yeah, I mean, the only way that you could really leapfrog, I guess, is if you just stayed out. And if you think you have enough fuel, I don't know what the fuel situation is going to be like. I haven't looked at it yet. We haven't really sat down and discussed all of that, but so, yeah, I mean, I guess you could try to stay out and see if you see if the clean air is good enough, and you don't have to. I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. I think where we're starting, as long as we can just stay up front, that's where we want to be. The clean air is going to be big, I think. And I think that where we're starting, as long as we can keep these good restarts and we fire off okay, I think we're kind of in the catbird seat, honestly.
Yeah. Thanks, Austin.
Thanks.
Okay, our next question will come from, let's see here, RJ. Go ahead with your question.
Hey, Austin. So I know over the past few weeks, it's not the exact tracks that you're going to, but you've gotten some experience in the Xfinity series. And I know how important seat time is, especially for this year. So how much do you think that has paid off as far as, experience, just kind of getting in the car and getting some extra track time, with your starts in the Xfinity series this year?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to say how much it actually helps on the truck side. I think one thing that does help is just staying in the seat, like you said. I mean, the way the truck schedule is, you do have these weekends off, so you kind of have a little bit of downtime. So it does make it nice to kind of stay in the race car, keep your hand-eye coordination good. A lot of the time, or all season so far, I've had my truck team go to the racetrack with me on the Xfinity side. So I think that's good. It just kind of builds that relationship. It kind of builds the feedback back and forth, things like that. So I think it's good for our team when we're able to go out there and kind of run a race and a place like in the Xfinity series, we're not really running for points, so we can try some different things and try to short pit and try to do all this other stuff. And you never know, it might help us on the truck side.
Thank you.
Hey,
Okay, our next question is going to come from Mitchell Brewer. Go ahead, Mitchell.
Austin, confidence is something that you've brought up a lot during this media session. How important do you think that is going into the playoffs and maintaining that throughout the playoffs?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a guy that I always have a lot of confidence in our team and in myself. But I mean, we're all humans. If you're not winning races and you're not running up front and you're not doing the things that you think you should be doing, you start kind of second guessing yourself some. So I think doing what we've done these last 2 races and winning like we've done, I think that just kind of it helps build the momentum going into these playoffs. So yeah, I mean, I've coming off of these wins, I think it kind of just boosts that confidence for the whole team, the whole organization. I just think that as a group, we're ready. We're excited for these playoffs. We're excited to go out there and try to keep this win streak going and show everybody that we mean a lot of business.
Thank you.
Okay, let's see here. Try to fit in a couple more questions. Let's go to Stephen Taranto. Go ahead, Stephen.
I didn't have a question. I tried to lower my hand. I apologize.
Yeah, no problem. Marty, did you have another question?
Nope, same thing with Steven, but thank you though.
Yeah, no problem. We will swing back to Vince with another question. Go ahead, Vince.
Hey, Austin, with there's 7 different organizations represented in the playoffs. How have you seen it, which is the most? Obviously, we've only done it a handful of years now, but how have you seen, particularly like say over the last 3 years, the series competitive level change, or have you felt like it's changed over the course of the last few years?
Yeah, I think that every season that I've ran ever since 2019, that each season has gotten a little bit tougher. I think that, these teams are getting better, and there's a lot of other teams that are coming up, and they're starting to kind of sneak in, and they're running well. I think anytime that you have an issue on the racetrack, it makes it that much harder to come through the field and rebound from a mistake. I felt like in 2019, we had a few races where we had to come from the back, and I wouldn't say it seemed easy, but to get into the top 10 didn't seem like, it didn't seem very hard. And this year, it seems like if you have any type of issue, man, you really got to fight hard to get all the way back up into that top 10 and into the top 5 and get back battling. Each year, these teams and organizations that are coming in, it's just making it that much harder on everybody.
I know you've done a lot with your fitness over the course of the past few years. Is that the biggest area where you feel like you've improved, or where do you feel like you've gotten better in the last couple of years?
I think the biggest thing is, coming off of 2018 to 2019, going to an organization like HRE was a big step in my career. And then working with Scott Dell, Tim Rice, Grayson Pope, like all these guys that are in the shop that have been there since 2019, they're still there. So we still have that core group. And I think each season that you get to run with these guys, you just keep building that notebook. You keep building that momentum and trust in each other. If I come to the radio and say something, I mean, Scott trusts me 100%. And maybe back 2019, he might have been second guessing. I don't know. Like I said, I can't speak for him, but I feel like now, fast forward to 3 years working together, I just think that as a whole team, we just have a lot of trust in each other. We feel like as a team, we can go out there and win everywhere we go. And I just think that kind of stems off of the performance we've had in 2019 and 2020, and it just keeps growing as we go forward.
How about you individually?
Yeah, I mean, I think Toyota, TRD, all these guys, I think they've helped me a lot, like you said, physically wise, nutrition wise, things like that. But I also think that, I get to go to the TRD sim. I get to do all these other things that I used to not be able to do back before I got with Toyota. So I think just Toyota, TRD, all these guys at Toyota, I think have helped me a lot. Being able to go to the TRD sim as many times as I am able to, I just think it's another practice session for you. You get to go to this racetracks and put your same setup in and work on the truck with you and your crew chief and your engineer, and you get to do all these things. And I think that kind of just helps me as a driver, being able to go in the sim and work on stuff and then take that and apply it at the racetrack.
Thanks, Austin.
Okay. I believe that's all the questions we have. Austin, thank you so much for joining us.
Yep. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
All right.